is an enterprise group? An enterprise group is a section, division, or other part of the enterprise. IT Asset Management supports three kinds of enterprise groups: locations, corporate units, and cost centers, each of which that can be subdivided or nested. What is a category? A category is a logical container that is used to illustrate how records like licenses, inventory, assets are classified in your enterprise. For today's demo, we'll talk a little bit about how enterprise groups and categories are created in the system. We'll review the enterprise group views and category view. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of the full path when importing data, and a few tips on preventing or duplicating entries. Let's get started with our demo. How do enterprise groups and categories get created in the system? There's three methods where enterprise groups and categories are created. First method being through a business adapter, and this is probably the thing that we see the most and would consider this a best practice, is that if your organization has these location structures, corporate units, and cost centers already within some systems and that data is available, then we would bring that in through a business adapter and those would get maintained through that connection. That's the primary way we see those getting populated. There are two other methods. The next method is under data collection, data imports, business data. I'm going to close this banner here. And one-off upload, you will see there's an enterprise group upload. The template is available for download in an XLS and a CSV format, and you can import locations, cost centers, or corporate units with that template. You would simply browse to that completed template and click upload, and then wait for the task below to populate and complete. Last but not least, the way to enter another way of getting enterprise groups in the system, and that is by manually creating them. Manually creation can happen at each level of the hierarchical structure. You'll see that no longer do we have the ability to group because this name is already pre-grouped. We would have a contract all and an expand all. And so those are already pre-grouped. You would click the plus sign at the level that you want that to display. And so if I wanted something under the root level where it would be equivalent to America's APAC, EMEA, or Global Data Center, then I would click the plus sign under location. If I wanted them to be displayed under the Americas region, in addition to Chicago, LA, or New York, then I would click the plus sign under the level that I want that to appear under. You also note that there is a trash can on each line that is to delete, and there is a pencil on each line, and that is for you to be able to edit those. We're currently looking at our locations now, and so I'm going to contract all for a moment. And we'll start by expanding locations. You can see we have ours segmented by regions, and then we have a global data center at that same level. Under each region, we have offices. And under each office, you could even have locations. You can continually nest this structure and get the hierarchy that you want to represent or that matches your internal systems. One thing that's unique about locations as well is the ability to assign an IBM region if you are configured for subcapacity licensing. This is an IBM requirement, and so each location must have an assigned IBM region to that, so the consumption totals can calculate correctly for subcapacity licensing. That's a little bit about locations. Organization is corporate unit. Corporate units, we have a similar configuration, but now we have several operating companies. And so we still have our global data center, but I have two separate operating companies now, and each operating company has their own set of departments. However your hierarchy is in your system, you should represent that here to give you good, clear line of sight with your data. Next one is cost center. And cost center is represented very similar. We have our two operating companies and we have our global data center, and each one of these would be the financial cost center for this item. All of these would be considered foundational items, meaning they should be in place before you start bringing in license and entitlement data, because you may need to see that split out by these regions, locations, and cost centers. So next one is categories. Categories, as you can see, the user interface is one and the same, and it is structured still the same. In this case, categories will always have a default hardware set of categories and a default software set of categories, which you can use and assign to your records. These cannot be deleted, edited, or changed because they are part of the base configuration of the system, and these are used throughout the system, such as applying categories to applications within our application recognition library. If you want to use the existing structure but want to add your own items, you most certainly can add to. You just can't take away from what is considered the system default there. What I see most clients do is set up a high level of their company name, and then each record throughout the system can be categorized, and so they might set a list of categories for assets. Underneath assets, you could add those. Underneath inventory categories, you can add those, or license categories, you can add those to better represent how things are classified within your organization.